My name is Josh Langstad.
My name is Courtney Smith.
My name is Funta Vanessa Robosoye.
My name is Megan Kubit.
$31 billion.
$31 billion.
$31 billion.
$31 billion.
That is how much Canada wastes annually in food waste. 10% of this waste comes from retail. That's $3.1 billion of food wasted in Canadian grocery stores annually.
Bill C-231 was introduced in Canadian Parliament in 2016 by Ms. Bousseau to establish National Food Waste Awareness Day, as well as develop a strategy to reduce food waste in Canada.
In this bill, she stated that the Minister of Agriculture must develop and implement a national strategy to reduce food waste in Canada.
This strategy was meant to include measures of donations by the private sector of blemished but edible foods to organizations and charities.
Sadly, this bill was defeated October 5th, 2016.
Although there are not any federal laws in place in Canada in regards to food waste, many cities and towns have established different programs to tackle this issue. In Quebec, they have implemented the Supermarket Recovery Program, which offers a sustainable solution to the problems of food waste and food insecurity in partnership with retailers. As of 2016, France implemented a federal law which makes it illegal for grocery stores to discard food that is considered edible and approaching its best before date. Now they have to donate it to charities and organizations that will utilize this food.
We want to follow their lead.
We want to lower the amount of food waste that happens and bring awareness to the issue.
We believe that if Calgary puts a bylaw in place that makes it so grocery stores cannot waste edible food, that it will set an example for the rest of Canada. We need to start taking the steps to minimize the amount of food wasted at a retail level, as this action will enable further access to food, a basic human right.
So my name is Lourdes. I'm the founder of the Leftovers Foundation, and I run as the organization's executive director. So my personal thoughts and views about food waste is that it's a $31 billion industry in Canada, a very wasteful industry, and we as a society need to start thinking about ways where we can curb that so that we're not wasting a quarter of the food. Actually, I think it's a third of the food that we produce. Yes, I think Calgarians realize how much food is being wasted. I think that food waste happens at every single level. So it happens at the farms, during transport, at the retail level, and then in our own homes. And so Calgarians, if they're sort of part of this system, they know that food waste occurs at all of these levels. There's this very wide spectrum of where we're wasting food. And it's very visible, we can see it. So I believe Calgarians know how much we're wasting, but I think a lot of us don't know what to do with it. It's easier to throw it out and compost it. And so if we can start to make these sort of shifts in our thinking, we can really start to work on curbing food waste. So the Leftovers Foundation uses a network of 200-ish volunteers. We have 70 routes a week, and the volunteers sign up for a route. They pick up from a vendor and they deliver directly to a service agency. I have a very skilled operations team, and what they do is they match vendors with service agencies so that we know that the food is going to good use, and it's going to go to good use within sort of a 24 to 48 hour time frame so that the food isn't wasted at the agency. We have no holding facility, so it just goes from one place to the next within a sort of 20 to 25 minute time frame. So I think the most effective way to kind of curb food waste is twofold. I think that people can make the change in their own homes. 47% of food waste happens in our own home. So if we're more cognizant about our food waste, we're only buying what we need, and if we are only cooking what we need, I think that can make a huge difference. But I also think from a policy level, municipal, provincial, or federal, we can really start to look at best practices in France and Germany and in the UK, where they have policies where grocery stores aren't allowed to waste their food. They have to donate it. And I think if we start looking at this precedent that is already set for us, we can start looking at best practices for Calgary and for Canada so that we aren't wasting food at the retail level and we are donating it. I think if a bylaw was enacted or policy was in place so that grocery stores had to donate their food rather than throw it out, I think the possibilities are endless with how many people can be served. Leftovers does a tiny portion of food donated per week. It's 4,000 pounds of food in Calgary and Edmonton, and with that we're able to serve just over 40 agencies. So if we had the bigger box stores on board, if we had these policies, we could really take the donations up to the next level.
So my name's Dahlia Cohen. I'm half owner of the Coup. It's just really simple to minimize your waste. It seems kind of intimidating, but it's actually, once you put policies in place, it's pretty simple to follow them. The best way, I believe, is for policies to come in. I was trying to think of tax breaks and stuff like that, and I do think that the best way to get people to do things is just put the policies, make the policies, and people will follow. It kind of shows as well with the most recent composting program that's come up and forcing buildings and businesses to recycle and compost, and it seems like it's been an easy transition for people. But once they know they have to do something, they'll do it. I just feel like if one place does it, other places kind of follow, or it just piques their interest, or it may be something that they just didn't think of before. And if once people start talking about it and kind of demanding it or asking for it, then that's when it starts to change.
Hi, I'm John Sinnott, owner-operator of Your Independent Grocer in Red Deer, Alberta. Food waste, first thing that comes to my mind is there's a lot of starving people in the world, and there's a lot of lost profit for the business. We want to stop wasting food because you never like to see something just get thrown down the compactor and be wasted. We hate waste, and once we found a way to donate the food and the liability issue was taken care of, we thought, why not do this? It's a win-win situation for the store and for the community. The transition's actually been really easy. Instead of just throwing it in a compactor, we set it into banana boxes, and we might have to stage it in a cooler overnight, and then the next day someone comes along and picks it up, and we're adding maybe 5 minutes to the whole process. Obviously we don't like to see waste, but the biggest stumbling block was the liability issues that come with using expired products and someone eating it. And once they signed the waiver off on that, the issue went away, and it has been pretty easy to actually do this process.
My name is Michael Pasma. I'm the Logistics and Inventory Manager at the Calgary Food Bank. So my responsibility is the warehouse, processing of food, and food pickup and delivery. And we also have the value that we're a community-based organization. So we're an organization that's run by Calgarians, by the community itself. We work of the major chains, so you have Safeway, Sobeys, Co-op, Save On, there's always one I forget, Superstore. So we work with pretty much all of them to varying degrees. So we will, because there's donation bins in each of them, we're going to them every day. So I think it would depend on how the bylaw was actually structured. So one of the concerns we would have is that if the bylaw is structured just to eliminate waste, so if it punishes people for putting waste in a landfill or not diverting waste, that we would end up getting a lot of unsuitable donations. So that would be product that had either been opened, or product that was well past its best before, or a product that was spoiled. It's definitely something that people are becoming more and more aware of as time goes on. I think people have the ability, but again, I think they need the nudges for them to kind of execute the plan, because I don't think there's clarity in people's minds about what they can do to eliminate food waste.
My name is Connor Tapp. I'm the Executive Director at Green Calgary Association. The one thing that Calgarians need to know about food waste is just how easy it is to produce food waste and how pervasive this problem is. So much of our food is going to waste, and I don't think Calgarians really understand how much of it we each produce. Calgary is a city that has, over its 100+ year history, changed and adapted and formed a new identity for itself a number of times. And I believe that Calgary can take on food waste and really overcome it in the way that we have overcome other major challenges in our city's history. I think the French model of how they cope with waste material in grocery stores and restaurants is the right model, and it's something that should be adopted not only in Calgary, but right across Canada and North America. This is a system that really recognizes the value of food and the need for food in society. I would love to see that program rolled out here in Calgary today. I can say that my entire team and nearly everybody that we interact with, all Calgarians that I encounter, are passionate about the environment and about climate, and they view food waste as something that's important. And they would implore Calgary City Council, as well as our provincial and federal governments, to really engage in this conversation. You may not be ready today to embrace regulation, but let's embrace the conversation and let's start moving toward that solution. When we look at the question of rebate versus law and regulation, we've seen with the coffee cup companies who give you 10 cents off of your coffee if you bring your own cup, that a rebate doesn't really work all that well. We need to have a law, we need to have a regulation, or you need to have a penalty built in. Imagine a place, look at somewhere like Ireland, which has very strict waste laws around plastic bags and general landfill waste, where you are billed for the waste that you create. That's led to a 92% reduction in some of their waste. That's a prohibition, that's a regulation, that's a levy. Those are things that people understand very quickly, and they're the fastest ways to change human behavior. I think that Calgary has a very young population that's becoming very engaged in our environment and in climate, and food waste is a major issue for them. I think you would see great reception for a program that regulated food waste if it were brought forward to City Council. If Calgary were to proceed with regulation to help mitigate food waste, Green Calgary would be here, as we have been for the last 40 years, supporting Calgarians to understand the bylaws and the regulation, but also the reason why that law exists and how each Calgarian can not just be compliant, but can be excited about the positive changes that they're making in their life.
Let Calgary be the innovative city that it is, and take this next step in our fight against food waste.
Against food waste.
Against food waste. Against food waste.